Suddenly, a pack of wildfire salamanders appeared, blocking Hyrkan's path. Faced with the growling, flame-ready monsters, he merely curled his lips into a confident smile. Sensing it was time, Hyrkan decided to act. He summoned his skeletal army, specifically calling upon the Skeleton Knight. Instantly, a majestic skeletal warrior in red armor charged forward. With a flurry of slashes emitting purple energy, it effortlessly tore through the salamander pack. Before long, the battle ended. Hyrkan and his legion stood amidst the corpses of the defeated monsters. A notification appeared, confirming he had vanquished the enemies and gained experience points. While the Skeleton Knight proudly flaunted its victory, applauded by the two remaining skeletons, Hyrkan merely sighed inwardly at his subordinate's showmanship. Hyrkan was overjoyed with the automatic monster hunting, leisurely enjoying the fruits of his labor while his bone knights did all the work. He realized upgrading his skeletons into bone knights was a wise decision. The salamander essence acquired was far more valuable than expected, not only offsetting the upgrade costs but also yielding a significant profit. Motivated by this, Hyrkan decided to continue farming until he could upgrade his entire skeleton army. He enthusiastically led his skeletons forward, aiming to defeat the area boss to reach Purung Forest. However, an hour later the initial excitement had vanished. Hyrkan felt something was off. Things seemed to be progressing suspiciously easily. His intuition proved correct when a surge of purple energy suddenly appeared, swirling before him. A portal leading to a special dungeon, throne room, manifested. Hyrkan was displeased by this unexpected appearance. He knew that once he entered, there would be no turning back, and he had absolutely no information about the challenges within. Failure meant being banned from playing for 2 days, enough time for his rivals to surpass him in the main questline. Realizing he had no other choice since the dungeon blocked the only path, Hyrkan resigned himself to the situation. He decided to bet on his luck. With a determined smile, he extended his hand towards the portal and stepped inside. Immediately, Hyrkan and his skeleton army were teleported to a vast, gloomy hall, where colossal knight statues stood guard in silence. Stepping inside, Hyrkan and his skeleton army faced a vast, gloomy space, resembling a forgotten temple. Along both sides of the pathway stood massive knight statues, silent in the darkness. As he approached to examine them, he noticed a disturbing detail. All the statues were covered in slashes. A sense of unease rose within Hyrkan. He had a premonition that something was wrong. His gaze was drawn to the far end of the room, where an armored figure sat on a throne, illuminated by an eerie green light. As Hyrkan cautiously approached, the figure suddenly stirred. Green energy flared from the armor's chest, signaling a deadly threat. Realizing the situation, Hyrkan frantically yelled, ordering his skeleton army to quickly form a defensive formation. However, it was already too late. A colossal scythe-shaped energy blast swept out from the throne with terrifying speed. His skeleton army, his pride and efficient monster farming tool, was wiped out in a single blow, dissolving into dust. Standing alone in the Great Hall, Hyrkan gritted his teeth in fury as his entire force was annihilated in the blink of an eye. The figure on the throne revealed itself to be a level 80 Soul Knight, a terrifying entity with advanced combat intelligence. Hyrkan was stunned as he recognized his old foe. He suddenly recalled his past life, when he and the entire Haho Mask Guild, despite being at a similar level, had been utterly annihilated by this very monster. Memories of the bitter defeat and the helpless retreat flooded back, but this time Hyrkan would not allow history to repeat. With steely resolve, he immediately summoned a new army of bone warriors, glowing with blue energy. Hyrkan decided to go all out from the beginning, leading his army straight into the enemy. The battle erupted fiercely. The Soul Knight proved incredibly powerful, easily parrying Hyrkan's attacks while still striking down another bone warrior. However, just as it was focused on Hyrkan, a bone warrior cleverly maneuvered behind it and thrust a sword through its armor. However, the enemy's power proved too overwhelming. Hyrkan was astonished to realize it wasn't a fatal blow. He understood that against ordinary skeletons or even golems he stood no chance of victory. In the midst of this deadlock, a memory suddenly resurfaced. He recalled a conversation with his betrayer friend, who had once questioned why he would risk confronting a monster 4 times his size. Hyrkan had casually replied that he didn't really know. Perhaps the reason was simply that if he couldn't defeat it, there would be no dinner. His friend had just called him an idiot for such recklessness. The memory of his nature, which never overthought things in combat, awakened Hyrkan. Back in reality, he told himself that if he couldn't deliver a fatal blow, he would simply continue to inflict damage relentlessly. With surging determination, Hyrkan charged forward once more, swinging his sword to directly confront the Soul Knight in a powerful clash. Hyrkan smirked in triumph as his attack seemed to have taken effect. telling himself to maintain this pace. However, he quickly noticed the Soul Knight alarmingly speeding up. The enemy lunged with a powerful strike, wounding Hyrkan and throwing him back. He bitterly realized it was only a feint. Immediately, the Soul Knight launched the real attack, but Hyrkan narrowly managed to dodge the fatal blade. After defeating the opponent, Hyrkan stood there, reaffirming his unwavering determination that he would not eat dinner until he had defeated this enemy. Meanwhile, at Sura Canyon Village, Mathador and the members of the Red Bulls Guild were on patrol. He commented that the village was developing better than he had expected. Yell stood beside him, proudly explaining that it was thanks to the Red Bulls Guild's management in the area. She further reported that they had established a stable supply route to ensure no shortages, and Mathador was pleased with this information. Mathador was extremely excited at the prospect of Haho Mask possibly appearing here. Seeing this, Yao was puzzled by his recent obsession with this player. She believed Haho Mask's achievements were nothing remarkable, as all he did was hunt a few low-level monsters. Mathador then explained that while those were low-level monsters to them, to Haho Mask, they were high-level enemies. He further analyzed that in a game where players can feel pain, only two types of people dare challenge monsters stronger than themselves, either madmen or born warriors. And according to Mathador, Hyrkan, who wears the Haho Mask, embodies both.